Hello, and welcome to another week's episode of my M&A Cyber Security. That's mergers and acquisition cybersecurity for deal makers and PE companies, VC companies. And in this week's episode, I'll be talking about insider threats as well as people and systems with privileged access. And those access are access that can delete, rewrite, and remove everything from your network or your ecosystem. So those are admin accounts, super user accounts, the autonomous AI agents that has the right to do pretty much anything. It's those contractors, suppliers that has certain level of access that can remove data on a legitimate basis because that's what their account was configured to or set up to do. But how do you manage that in your M&A deal process? Do you perform due diligence on a regular basis on these accounts, whether or not you're going through a deal or you're just doing it as a matter of housekeeping? That is the question. Now, why does this matter? This matter because they're real world examples of, for example, Google engineers stealing data about their AI architecture and their AI mission and their IP rights around their code base. There's also real world examples around Coinbase, where a Coinbase support agent was coerced into stealing data from their ecosystem for an attacker in another country. There's also evidence around privileged access compromise, whereby Evercore, which is a huge global company, which I've talked about in a previous episode, where a privileged account was compromised via a phishing attack. So you see, when doing your M&A deals, there are a lot of areas and angles or attack vectors to cover to ensure that you do not inherit a business that is riddled with potential breaches, past breaches or breach history, or is in line for the next data breach or the next hack. So what can you do? Here are some tips. Review all privileged access accounts on a regular basis and during the deal process. Change those account details once the deal is closed to make sure that you as the buyer has complete control over those. Ensure that you implement auditing, logging, and monitoring on those accounts. So whether it be service accounts, non-human identities accounts, AI accounts, and AI agents, make sure that monitoring, alerting is configured on these and are working effectively. Implement monitoring for unusual activities during the transition period, because sometimes when a deal is in play or before, there are NDAs and there are various secrecy to that deal, and only a small circle of people are aware of these deals. So please monitor those people's account and their activity to make sure that the deal details and the inner details of the deal are not being shared outside the circle of trust and the circle that's working on that deal. As I mentioned, non-human identities are also important. So these are the identities of APIs, service accounts, etc., AI agents account, bots accounts, etc. Make sure that monitor is in place for all of those. Now, if you need more information and need support with your next deal, please reach out. I help companies with managing due diligence from a cybersecurity and tech due diligence perspective with their deal end to end. We've got a platform that manages that, but we also have human oversight that makes sure that the data that is coming out and what we're sharing with you and assessing for your target business is properly vetted. Please follow us on LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn newsletter. This is called the Cyber Risk Brief. Please follow us and subscribe to that to support us. I also have a YouTube channel as well that I put out these videos on. So please support us. Share this with somebody in your network that you think may benefit from this as well. And I also have a newsletter which you can subscribe to by scanning this QR code to subscribe to that newsletter, and you get weekly updates as to what I'm doing in the M&A space and cybersecurity space. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week for the next episode. Bye.